Friday.
Greetings. My name is Alan A.J. Holman, Sr. I'm a graduate student at Liberty University in the History Department, and I'm about to introduce and to interview a legend. He's a legend in jazz and blues. He's a legend in our ranks. And the St. Louis Blues Society writes that Philip Westmoreland has an engaging style of playing guitar in rhythm and blues, funk, soul, jazz, and the blues. He has played it with all power and grace. Westmoreland has played with and has been musical director for world-class artists such as Curtis Mayfield, Albert King, Barry White, Luther Ingram, and Fontella Bass. In the early 1960s, Westmoreland was a studio musician and arranger for Chess Records in Chicago, Illinois. Phil is now still going strong, performing whenever he's able. Good evening, Brother Westmoreland. How are you?
Okay, how are you?
Fine, thank you. What is your full name?
It's Philip Westmoreland Jr.
Thank you so much. Do I have permission to record this interview?
Yes.
Okay. Where and when were you born?
I was born in Whitwell, Tennessee, 1943 on January 21st.
Okay. Now, how many were in your family?
I'm one of 10 kids, children.
All
I'm
right.
one of 10.
Good, good. Now, you know something about your parents. Can you tell me where they're originally from?
Okay, my mom was born in Kingsport, Tennessee, and my dad was from Key West, Florida, right?
Okay.
And okay. Yeah, and well, actually, they settled in Marion County in Whitwell, where I was born.
Okay. All right. Do they still have traditions that they still carry today?
No, not really.
Well, tell me about your parents and your upbringing.
In what manner? Upbringing. I don't know. My mom and dad both worked, and my granddad was this and that, and all that. So I was mainly just kind of a free spirit, I guess. You know, I did what I wanted to do without breaking the law. You know what I mean? Breaking the rules. And from there, I don't know where to go with it. It's so much. So,
what did they do for a living?
my mom was a domestic for a prominent law firm, and then a lawyer family. I'm sorry, and then she got a job at UTC as in the food service department. And my dad was a coal miner in Whitwell, and then in Chattanooga, he started working for the city.
Okay.
Okay.
That was very interesting. Now, are there particular successes or accomplishments that they acquired that enticed you to get into the music business?
Well, actually, like I said, I was free, but my mom is still alive at 104.
Wow.
And, of course, she's still mom. Okay.
All right.
Yes, sir. And she's still cooking and all that going on with it.
So how did you get into music?
My granddad would sit on the porch when he was babysitting and play the guitar. One of his original songs, that's the only one I heard. And it made me want to know how to play guitar. I was really young, probably 12, 13 years old, and I wanted a guitar. I wanted to play guitar. And if you don't mind, I'm going to show you the only song that he ever played. If you don't mind me doing a little of it.
Yourself.
Okay, his original. And And it was this. Okay, here we go. Lord, 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 have mercy on me. Lord, 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 have mercy on me. And then he goes, must well, what make you smell so bad? You've been on the water all your days, and so what if you ain't dead? And then you go back to Lord, Lord. Okay, that's basically the song that make me want to learn how to play guitar. And so
All
I
right.
got a guitar in 1958. And from
Wow.
there, I taught myself how to play. And from there,
Tell me about your heritage. Tell me a little bit about your heritage.
Well,
Grandfather was a full-blooded Choctaw.
yeah, well, yeah, my granddad was a full-blooded Choctaw. My mom was Irish and Cherokee and Choctaw. My grandmother was Irish Cherokee. My mom was Irish Cherokee Choctaw. So I have all of those, and my dad was African American. So I'm four people. Okay, but anyway, it all worked out. Everything, my mom's still kicking, and I'm loving it. And so um, I just tried to make the best of what I wanted to do at a young age, and so I did.
Okay. Do you have any favorites that you do, even that you do with bands now?
Well, not now. I've been a band leader since the '70s. Yeah, the early '70s. I started my band in St. Louis.
Okay.
Oh, and I've been sick. I got infected with Agent Orange and all that. It has a lot of effects on me. And so I've been dealing with cancers in my body and all that since the '70s. But Lord has blessed me with still being alive at 79.
Wow. Good for 79. I hope I look that good when I get there.
Oh, well, thank you. Yeah.
Yes, indeed. Well,
So,
pray the Lord let me get there.
yes, sir.
You feel like playing a little something else?
Like, I got a song that I was doing during when Joe Biden got elected.
Okay.
It's on a CD, but I can show you what the song is.
Okay.
It's called this. La 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 la. A happy song. Oh, la 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 la. It's just a happy song. And just over and over, I got a CD of it, and I was driving down the street, had my radio blasting, all the windows open. So when Joe Biden, on inauguration day, yes. And I played that CD. So most of my original music I did in my own studio, and just for demonstration purposes, of course. But I got lots of songs and all of that, and I just music is it. I decided that's what I wanted to do,
So you still
and so far I did pretty good at it.
you still have your studio?
Yes, sir. It's right behind me.
Okay.
Can you see it?
Yes, sir. I
But,
do.
well, that's just my demo studio, of course. Okay, but that's where I start. I do all the instruments except keyboards. My wife plays the keyboard parts. I do the bass, drums, blah blah this, and all the other stuff, and she does the keyboards for
Oh, wow. Well, I know you have a good keyboard player.
me. You say what now?
I know you do have a good keyboard player.
Oh yeah, the best.
Yes,
That. Can I say when I met her?
you can.
Uh, um, I met her in Las Vegas, and we had a group. I had a band, and she sat in, and I heard her sing and play keyboard the first time, and then I took her around the world with me on cruise ships and everywhere else. She's so good, you know. And we stayed with cruise ships from about 3 years,
Okay.
and then we moved to Chattanooga. And let's see, what did I do here? We played with this guy named Booker Scruggs, who had a jazz group and all of that, and he ended up passing. And so that ended, but she was a vocalist and keyboard player for him. And so I would play with them, of course. I wasn't a bad leader, but after Booker died, she just kept going, with her group. And I'm glad that I met her and all of that. So it's all good right now.
Amazing. Booker T. Scruggs Jr.
Booker T. Scruggs, yes, sir.
Yes,
Yes,
indeed.
sir.
Now, do you have any advice for the current generation and how they can continue to preserve the blues, its history, and its...
Well, the first thing is when you hear something and you like it, stick with it. You know what I mean? It's like, okay, if you want to play music, you have to choose which path to take at first. You can't play everything at once, okay? So if you like blues, learn the blues, play the blues, okay? And keep at it. And something I didn't know was that because I like the blues and R&B so much that I didn't realize that there was a career in it. It was just something that I wanted to do. And after that, I didn't want no job. I could make money playing in clubs. Yeah. Okay, now when I first got, okay, I'm waiting for you. I'm sorry.
No, go ahead. Help yourself.
Okay. The thing is, when I got my guitar in 1958, by 1959, I was listening to the radio and stuff, and I got a guitar for my birthday in 1958, and my mom would let me, it's an electric guitar. She would let me play it in the house. So I sat out in the yard in a chair, listening to the radio on the car radio, and copying licks that I liked. And this guy that lived not far was walking up the street and heard this guitar. So, and he apparently liked what I was doing. So he hired me. His name was Emmett Barnes in Chattanooga, Tennessee. And his drummer, it was just him and drums at first. Okay. His drummer was Clyde Stubblefield, who became James Brown's, drummer for years and years. Okay. And from there, I have to think of where I went from there. Oh, from there, I was playing at this place called the Green Light Bar for Frank Green, this guy in Chattanooga, at that bar, and a music director for what back then was called the Hith, Heth shows, and they traveled with a carnival with music and girls dancing, and all that. So I went with them. I ran away from home with them. Okay.
He made you an offer and you ran away.
Well, he made me an offer and I went with him. However you want to put it. I left without permission because, before that though, it's this. I was a guitar player for the Roosters, okay, who was a singing group here in Chattanooga, and they had a nice club on 9th Street, okay, and for some reason or the other, I got to be their practice guitar player, singing, stuff, doing stuff that was already recorded and all that. Then they got an offer to go to Chicago to do Your Precious Love with Jerry Butler and tour with him. And I was 16. My mom would let me go. She would let me go. Okay. And so I was playing in Chattanooga and
tell him who the Roosters became.
The Roosters became the Impressions. I'm sorry I left that out. Yeah. They became the Impressions. All right. Okay, let me reiterate that if I can. I was playing with the Roosters, practicing. We just practicing and they doing, and all this. They got the call from Jerry Butler's group. Okay. And they wanted them to come and back up Jerry Butler at Chess Records in Chicago. Uh-huh. And they wanted me to go with them. My mom wouldn't let me go. All right. Okay. And so after that, I was playing in a joint called Frank Green's on the west side. I told you that thing. Anyway, this guy from the carnival came and offered me a job to go to Carver. I was so ready to play with somebody and hit the road. I just left. I ran away from home. And after a couple of weeks, he brought me back to Chattanooga and asked my mom if it was okay. I was 17, I think, then.
He found out you were a runaway.
He found out that I had ran away from home. See, he didn't know. I just went with him. He would he liked my plan and all. Anyway, this was in 1959. Okay. And then I stayed with him until 1961. 1961. And I went back to St. Louis in 1962. In 1962, I went back to St. Louis. Oh, boy. What did I do after that?
We got with Oliver's name.
Oh, yeah. I got with this guy who was a saxophone player named Oliver Sane. Okay. And he had a band. He needed a guitar player. He needed a band leader because he just played sax, and all that. So he hired me as his band leader. So we had a really bad band and all that for until.
No, tell him about the music writing together.
Okay. You know what? I have to back up a second. The thing is, when I met him, he needed somewhere to write. He was a songwriter, and I had never written a song or anything. But he used the music room at my house to me and him came up with this song called "Don't Mess Up a Good Thing" by Fontella Bass and Bobby McClure, which later became a smash hit. And after that, the Allman Brothers redid it, and it was a bigger smash hit. Okay. And from there, well, let's see, where did I go from there? I got drafted in 1968 to Vietnam. I got out of Vietnam in 1970. And at 1970, I came back to St. Louis, went back to St. Louis, and put my own band together in 1971. And we were the most requested. Anybody who came to town, the musicians union would call my band to be, because artists, they book gigs and they hire bands, whichever city they're going to. And with a lot of them, they would like for this band to go on the road with them. So that's where it started really with me. There's so many people that were stars. I mean, not Jerry Butler. Let's say starting with Fontella Bass and Bobby McClure. Then I was the band leader for Curtis Mayfield. Albert King came. He was coming to this gig we had at home. When he was in town for about 6 months, every time he come home, he lived in Brooklyn, Illinois, and he would come to this club we were playing at, and he would sit there and clap and and throw $20 bills, $50 bills on the stage and all that. And one day, after about 6 months, he finally decided to pull me to the side. He said, "Hey, Philip, I want you to play with me." So I took my band on the road with him for 2 years as the band leader, but I ended up driving his 1954 Greyhound bus, being his road manager and all that. And I stayed with him from 76. Now, during that time, we did cool jazz festivals, okay? And we did Radio City Music Hall. And to me, I didn't realize where I was at. When you get to Radio City Music Hall, you there. You know what I mean? So I stayed with him longer than that. After that, I moved back to Chattanooga because I was in St. Louis then. Okay, I moved back to Chattanooga, and in the mid '80s, Curtis Mayfield needed a tour band, and his former bass player, Lucky Scott, was part of my band. So he called Lucky Scott to find out if Lucky knew, a band and all that. And so I ended up, Lucky Scott and my band ended up doing a couple of years with Curtis Mayfield. And I got hired at Chess. I forgot that. I got hired at Chess playing with Maurice White and all of that. It's what really made me want to keep doing what I'm doing. I might be doing the backup a little bit, but all I'm saying is I leave things out. I ain't no baby no more. Anyway, so now after that, what did I do on? After, let's see, after Westmoreland. Oh, I went to Vietnam in '68.
No.
I said that.
You said all
Okay, I said it all. And
after,
so
after Curtis,
after
you moved to
Curtis,
Vegas.
I moved to Vegas. Exactly. And put a band together. And my wife,
Strip.
I was played on the strip for the Shades of Lace and the Dale Vikings, the Drifters, the Coasters, lots. Whoever came to town wanted my band to play with them, back them up instead of traveling with a band. You know what I mean?
Yes.
And with the Dale Vikings and the Drifters, I ended up doing short tours with them, 2, 3, 4 weeks at a time. Okay. Oh boy. And after that,
we met.
me and my wife met. She came, sat in, and I heard her sing. Play she sat down and did People Get Ready by Curtis Mayfield. And, ultimately, I ended up being Curtis Mayfield's band leader. And that was one of the biggest. But when I got with Albert King, I was at the top of the business in New York City, Radio City, and the people loved it. So anyway, it's just so much. I don't know where to stop. Okay.
It's okay. We're doing good. We're doing good.
Oh, well, okay. And I mean, one of my buddies told me tonight, I told him about this interview with you.
Yes, sir.
And I said, well, we got about 30 minutes or so to talk about me and what I done and all that. But he said, that's going to take 2 days. He said, that's going to take 2 days to tell him everything you did. But tell him what.
I know I'm in the background, but I want to add some things that feel kind of left out. A few years ago, he was honored in St. Louis as a living legend. They
nominated.
I got that. He was honored as a living legend there in the city of St. Louis.
Mm-hmm.
And right now, he is in the process of being inducted into the St. Louis Hall of Fame, Blues Hall of Fame. And so we want to wish him all the best for those accomplishments as well. He left out so much that I wanted him to tell.
Yeah. Well, you tell.
No, because I don't know where to start.
Do you mind if I let my wife tell some of it? I'm going to turn it camera to her.
Please don't.
Yeah. Okay. Pause a minute.
Well, I mean, no, let her talk. It's fine.
Talk.
We're so grateful to have Mrs. Nancy Westmoreland assisting her.
Sir.
And she's an accomplished musician in her own right.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. And I was like her dad, but she's my wife. I brought her out, and we traveled the world together, and we still together after 32 years. Yeah.
Mrs. Westmoreland, you can continue. We appreciate hearing.
Mm-hmm. Is there anything? Just ask me a question so I'll know where to guide it.
Well, we mainly wanted to make sure that Brother Phil Westmoreland would have a chance to tell his story, and we didn't want to leave anything out. And anything that he may have to encourage the generation of today, the young people, and how he has influenced those coming along.
Well, the one important thing I want to say about Phil, he was, as you can see, he's a man of small stature. So when he was in high school, his interest was sports, but he was too small to play. But about that time, he got his guitar, and playing music became his dream and his goal and his desire. And when he says his advice is to musicians to keep it up, that's exactly what he means, because he has done some very wonderful things in life. He, like he said, he was drafted. He went to Vietnam. when the officers found out that he could play guitar. He played for the officers and all kind. But he was an air traffic controller in Vietnam, and he was a helicopter gunner in Vietnam. And he was so good at what he did, they wanted him to stay and make a career of the military. And but he said all he could think about was getting back to St. Louis and playing his music. So that's what he did. He stayed long enough, to finish his tour, and a little longer beyond that. Went back to St. Louis, and like as he said, he started his own band and became one of the best bands in that city in that era.
Most respected request.
You already said that.
Yeah. Well, did he?
So,
is there a name for his band? Did he call it the?
He was called Westmoreland Company.
Westmoreland Company.
Westmoreland Company. Mm-hmm.
Okay.
And some of the things when he was at Chess Studio, he kind of touched on it a little bit. One of his bandmates at Chess Studio was Maurice White, who went on to form Earth, Wind and Fire. They were the studio musicians together. And Minnie Riperton worked at Chess Records at the time, and she'd be brought in, from time to time to do background music before she had her solo career. But when Phil first started, he was doing guitar solos for some of the blues artists who really weren't accomplished musicians. They might be able to sing really well, but they weren't accomplished musicians. And he not only was he hired to play rhythm guitar and licks.
Yeah. So go ahead.
But he was playing solos on a lot of recordings that we think we're hearing the artist playing is actually Phil playing. One of the first million sellers he played on, he mentioned that was Don't Mess Up a Good Thing. But he also played on Rescue Me, which was Fontella Bass's big hit, her biggest hit, Rescue Me. And he's got that little chink. I wish we could play it so I could show you exactly where he is.
They call them guitar licks. I was good at licks, and so they hired me.
But every time I hear the song, I always say, "Oh, that's my honey playing that little chink."
What can you do a little bit for us tonight, Mr. Westmoreland?
What?
A little
Rescue Me.
The little.
Let's see what can you do. It don't matter. Okay. That's right. Rescue me.
Take me in your arms, rescue me. I want your tender charms, 'cause I'm lonely and I'm blue. I need you and your love to come on and rescue. But see, without the band, that doesn't make sense.
What I was doing mainly was this. The beat was going on, and my thing was in the background, I do things like that.
All right.
To help fill in the track. And Chess Records wasn't used to that. And so they hired me. I was there from Monday through Thursday every week.
Yeah, Phil, and even now, musicians that he performs with talk about how he's able to create such a great feeling in music with his rhythm, the rhythms that he knows how to play. There have been times when, but you should actually see him on stage when he is able to not only play the rhythm, but he can sneak a solo in, and he can, make you do fill-ins. He's a wonderful guitar player, and that's
wow.
It's a whole lot more that we're not telling, but I just wanted you to have the gist of. I appreciate you doing this for me, to keep me alive, if you know what I mean.
I appreciate you doing it.
Yeah.
Do you ever do any picking, like the B.B. King style picking?
Okay. I taught myself to do chords and certain licks that I heard on the radio. But I don't know what year it was, so I won't go there. But Albert King had this song called Don't Throw Your Love on Me So Strong. Mm-hmm. And it's probably in the 70s. And I heard the way he started that song out. Okay, I'll show you what he did. That's it. that kind of lick wanted me to learn, made me want to learn how to play solos on the guitar.
Okay.
And that was the first lick that I copied it. And from there, it took me to wanting to play other single note licks as opposed to rhythm. You know what I'm saying?
Yes,
and
sir.
chords and all that. And so from there, it's like, man.
Could I get him just to play a little bit of one of his original blues? Just play the line. He calls it the 8-bar blues.
Yes, ma'am.
I wanted just to play a little bit of it.
Oh, Lord. All right. Let me start there. It's so no background, so I'll have to fill in the rhythm here. Okay. All right. And wait a minute. Honey, damn, it's been, I'm sorry. It's been so long since I played it. I got it on the CD, but I was saying, okay, let me try one more time. You be patient with me, okay? Yeah. Something like that. I can't do the notes on it, but that's the way it felt. It's just a blues. And one of my friends that used to be Ike Turner's backup guitar player is he helped me. He liked it so much that he mastered that demo tape of it. Okay, and me and him with Herb Sally. He was with Ike and Tina. Okay, now where can we go from here? It was important to me. It was. Anyway. So now, where are we?
Well, thank you so much, Mr. Westmoreland. I'm so glad to be able to share this moment with you and let you share.
So am I.
Yes, indeed. Well, Mr. Westmoreland, we're grateful. We're going to ask that we will continue and ask that you will continue in your journey. We pray God will continue to bless you in your health and your marriage. And we pray that you will live at least to be 100. And the
Yeah, my mom is over 100, so I'm going to catch up with her. Watch.
All right. All right. We look forward to it.
104.
Yes, sir. Well, we're so glad to have you. And we have been interviewing Mr. Phil Westmoreland. He is a legend in blues and jazz and playing that guitar. And his lovely wife, Mrs. Nancy Westmoreland, who plays the keyboard. You've heard her voice in this interview, and we thank God for them. And meanwhile, you have a great evening.
Okay, can I do what, Nancy? Okay. Have a good one. I appreciate you.
Thank you, Pastor Hope.
Yes, indeed.
Okay.
Be blessed.
Yeah. You too.